Hello. Today we'll be focusing on Objective 6, factoring the sum and difference of cubes. These are special binomials comprised of two perfect cube terms. As a refresher, let's go over what is a perfect cube. Now I know you know these, but let's just take a minute to look at a few. 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, or 1. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, or 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. And 5 cubed is 125. We don't use these as often as we do perfect squares, so it's probably a good idea if you were to make yourself a more complete list of the first 20 or so perfect cubes to use as a reference. We're going to use the same process when we do an x cubed. For instance, x cubed is just x times x times x, or x cubed. X squared cubed, we're going to use the same thing we did before with our perfect squares, and anytime we have a number, an exponent that's cubed, we just multiply our exponents. That's going to give us x to the 6th. X cubed cubed following suit would be x to the 9. And when we do 2x cubed, we want to make sure we're distributing our cube to all the terms. So we're going to get 8x cubed. And the same thing, if we have multiple variables, that would give us 8x cubed, z cubed. Just make sure that looks like a cube. All right, so once you're more familiar with these, the easier they're going to be. So what actually is nice about these perfect cubes, or the sum or difference of perfect cubes, is that we have formulas for them. So if we're given a cubed minus b cubed, in order to factor them, it's actually just a minus b as a binomial term, and then we're going to have a trinomial term in the form of a squared plus ab plus b squared. How does this work, or why does this work? Well, let's take a minute to run through this and I can show you. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this a to my trinomial term. So a times a squared is a cubed. A times ab is a squared b. A times b squared is ab squared. Now I'm going to take this negative b. Negative b times a squared is minus a squared b. Negative b times ab is minus ab squared. And negative b plus b squared is negative b cubed. So if we look here, we have a plus a squared b and a minus a squared b, so those are going to go away. We have a plus ab squared and a minus ab squared, and they're going to go away. So all we're left with is a cubed minus b cubed. So that's kind of the gist of why this formula works. And this is really something you're just going to have to memorize. We do have a little bit of a hint that I can show you in a bit later. The formula for the sum, this would be difference up here. This one's the sum of two perfect cubes, is very, very similar. It's just going to be a change in the sign. So if it's a cubed plus b cubed, you're going to have a plus, and then you're going to have an a squared minus an ab plus a b squared. And I could go through and FOIL this for you so you could see how and why this works. But it's really going to be the same thing. Now, like I said, you are going to practice with these a lot, so you will have this formula memorized, and you will need to have it memorized. But when it comes to the signs, it's really just one formula with the signs that are being different. So if we take a look at this, I'm going to look at the word soap. S-O-A-P. This is going to be your mnemonic device for remembering how these signs work. So the S stands for same sign. O stands for opposite sign. And A stands for always, and the P positive. So if we go back through, this had a negative sign, and in the order in our formula, we have our same sign, our opposite sign, and a positive sign. Down here, we started with a plus sign, so we have our same sign, our opposite sign, and again a plus sign because the last one is always positive. So hopefully SOAP helps you out a little bit. It wouldn't hurt to write these formulas on the top of your paper as you go through and do practice problems, which is what I want to do right now. So the first practice problem I have here is our x cubed plus 125. So just like I did with my difference of squares, I want to kind of rewrite this in terms of a and b as quantities that are being cubed. So obviously x cubed is x being cubed, and 125 we said is 5 cubed. So now I have an a, and now I have a b. If I were to write my formula up here, I know that for my product of, or my sum of cubes, I want a plus b, and then I want a squared minus ab plus b squared. So now all I have to do is plug x and 5 in for that. So I'm going to get x plus 5, x squared minus 5x plus 5 squared, which is 25. And that's all. You do want to do a quick check just to make sure that this last number here can't be simplified, and the majority of the time you won't be able to. Looking at this again, we're going to get a binomial and a trinomial. And the last thing we want to check is that our signs, we have our positive, we have our negative or our opposite, and we have our always positive. And we're good to go. If you're nervous on the first few, go back through and distribute. Make sure you get the binomial that you started with that x cubed plus 125. Our second example today is this x cubed times y minus 125y to the fourth. So right away, this y to the fourth is going to kind of stick out to me as not being okay. But remember, we can always try to take out a GCF first. And looking at these two terms, it looks like I can pull out a y. So I'm going to have y times x cubed minus 125y cubed. And I like this example because there are two variables in here, but it's not any more difficult than it was before. I'm going to rewrite this in terms of cubes, where I have an x in here, and what the cubed root of 125y cubed is just going to be 5y. And now I can just use my formula. I'm going to have y times x minus 5y times x squared plus 5xy plus 25y squared, if I'm following my formula. And that's all we have to do. So go ahead and practice with these. You can do the practice worksheet, and when you're feeling confident, go ahead and try that quiz. Good luck.